This one comes from Charles Denny. He asks, what is looked for to be a classical trombonist? Now, before I get into this, I should note that with my brand and everything, classical trombone, I went to school for classical music and trombone performance. So, in many senses of the word, I am a classical trombonist. However, I haven't played classical music in a long time, not in a concert setting, at least. But I do know a lot about it. So, anyway, what is looked for? He asks. You have to love the music so much, it's ridiculous. You are performing the music because you love the music, and that's the end of the story. Now, if you aren't totally into classical music, it does take quite a bit of studying it, I think, in order to love it in today's day and age of like the melody being shoved down your throat and everything. Like you kind of have to listen to it almost like you can't be doing something else. You can't be washing the dishes and listening to it. You kind of have to be listening to it, at least the first few times. There are many pieces that I know so well now that I can do anything and it's like I'm cued into it. But if you're listening to a piece, at least, I mean, especially for the first time, you really need to be paying attention. And you can get really deep into it. You can study the form, you could study all sorts of stuff, but nothing is better than actually performing it and learning it that way. So any of the pieces that I've ever performed, I can listen to and enjoy. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast. And the accessibility of it isn't shoved down your throat. You really have to pay attention, and then once you get into it, then it's a lot more enjoyable. But you have to love that music in order to be a classical trombonist. You don't play a whole lot in symphonies, in opera, and a lot of classical music. Trombones were added as like an effect. Like if they wanted to show that you were in heaven or hell, actually, it was like brass trombones, and so a lot of times you're sitting there not doing anything. But yeah, you have to love the music. That's really what it takes. Is the reason you're doing it is because of the music. You're not doing it for a teacher. You're not doing it for the money. You're not doing it for the director. You're not doing it for anything other than the music. And you want so badly to create that music. And hopefully there's 50 or 100 other people who want to do that with you. And that's what keeps it alive. That's what keeps it going. And luckily, it is totally alive and well and doing that. Now, this is the classical tradition. There's new classical music. There's contemporary music, which is not classical at all. I mean, it stems from that composition and form and starts to break down classical techniques. But yeah, I mean, it's its own art form, and it is currently thriving. But it's an art form. It's not an entertainment form. So if you think about pop music, if you think about movies, if you think about blockbusters, these are all things that need to sell in order to succeed. If a record sells more than anything else, then people assume that it is. They don't assume it. It's done its job. If an art film is seen in, I don't know, 13 theaters across the U.S., and it's like some documentary exposing, I don't know, corruption in politics or something. If it doesn't sell out every theater of those, few theaters that it was in, that's not really the point. And it's more about the art of it. And if there's some sculpture in, some remote place, the fact that it's not pulling in tourists from all over the world, that's not really the point. It's art. And the intent is really important with art, where the intent is really not that important in pop music. It can be there, but it's not really that important. What's important is the entertainment factor most of the time, if it sells. And if you can say something with it, that's great, but not really necessary. So with classical music, this is even more true. And they have to sell tickets in order to stay open. There's all of this politics and crap. But that's not your job. Your job is to play music and convey the emotions that you want to convey, and convey the emotions that the composer wanted to convey, and convey the emotions with the audience. Not to the audience, but with the audience. It's a lot. I couldn't do it. That's why I'm playing pop covers on YouTube. That's why I'm doing my own thing and creating my own music. But yeah, I have so much respect for the people who can and who dedicate their lives to it, because they're dedicating their lives to music and not dedicating their lives to making a living, you know? They have to do other things for that a lot of the time, and there are a few lucky people who get to do it full time and not have to worry about everything else. But the vast majority are not doing it because of that, not doing it because of that potential job. My first college professor said, "You're not going to be a millionaire playing the trombone." And then he said, "If you are, you'll be the first one." So why are you doing it? So that's how you kind of have to think about it. And if you love it, you'll never second guess it. It takes a lot. Whew! All right.